Welcome back.
We are in full-on fall effect.
Oh, yes, effect.
Mode 2. Welcome. If you have never been here before, welcome. We are the Soul Sisters podcast. We are so excited that you're joining us today because just like, honestly, every other episode, we have a good one for you today.
Yes, we do. And we were decorating ominous. Honestly, I'm super excited about the way that we decorated everything. Everything just feels so cozy and welcoming.
Yes.
So
the only thing we're missing is chimney.
yes,
or some fire.
I know we need a little camp fire right here with some s'mores.
Yes,
that'd be perfect.
Where we live, it actually started to feel like fall for a little bit, and we're back to the hot. So
yep,
we're a little hot in Houston at all times, year round.
Yes, it is hot year round, but there's always that one week where it has perfect weather, in my opinion. Okay, I like it to be between 70 and 85. There's only ever 1 week in the entire year that it's ever like that. And we already went through that week, and I was so sad because I was like,
no more perfect weather for Ellie.
I know. Now it's either going to be in the 90s and hundreds, or if not, in the 60s and below, and that's just too cold for me.
Same.
Yeah.
I've been walking out and I'm like, no. I'm okay. I hate it.
I know, same. It's just like, I just want like some real cozy weather. That's all.
Wrong city for that, girl. Wrong city.
Wrong state.
Yes. So what we got in store for you guys today, I feel like we do a lot of, because like we've said before, we are so big on self-reflection, self-growth. And so today we're going to hit a topic that I think Ellie and I have both struggled with, and I think a lot of people struggle with this. So we're just going to give our 2 cents. If we can help anybody with our perspective, you know, that's our goal at the end of the day.
Yes, to help anybody else who's struggling through the same thing. If y'all need a different perspective, a different idea, something, a different take on whatever the situation is, and see if you can use it for yourself. And so what we wanted to talk about today was we wanted to start with people pleasing. So I was actually listening or watching, scrolling through TikTok, right, in the middle of the night one day. And one of the videos that I came across was this girl was talking about particularly people pleasing, the fear of rejection, fear of intimacy, and setting boundaries, which honestly I struggle with all of those, honestly. And so I kind of did like a little self-reflection on it, and to find a way to tie them all together. And so the way that I put it, right, was with people pleasing. Whenever you people please, you're either speaking falsely of yourself or walking falsely in an attempt to comfort the other person at the expense of your own comfort, right? You're trying to comfort somebody else so that because you don't want to deal with the conflict or the whatever negative thing that can come after it. That's what you're trying to avoid with people pleasing, right?
Right. Like them not liking you.
Right.
Things like that.
And the next thing was the fear of rejection. And that one is a huge struggle for me. I've struggled with that for ever.
Same. I feel like it's a very common thing for girls to deal with, because apart from any childhood trauma, which I think is where it all stems out of, I think girls struggle with the fear of rejection because of how society has it put that, you know, it's the guys always chasing you. It's you basically get what you want as a woman,
right?
So whenever you don't, and you see all these, especially like we've talked a lot about with social media, you see all these girls getting guys thrown at them in their comments, in their lives, whatever. And so to be a girl and to feel rejection from a guy, I think it's a real fear that a lot of us are maybe not comfortable admitting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And additionally, like apart from like just guys in general, like in other aspects of your life, like let's say you're going into like an interview. I remember my fear of rejection going into interviews is like, I don't get the job, or like it'll be like any kind of thing.
Yeah, like you just feel like you're not good enough.
Right.
Like I'm not qualified for this job. I'm not. I used to feel that a lot. I don't know why, about my age. I used to feel so self-conscious about my age.
About your age?
Yeah, like
In
going
what
into
way?
job interviews.
Okay.
I would always feel like, oh, they're going to think I'm too young for this. Like, what does she know? She's so young.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know why I always had that fear. Like when it came to jobs, I always felt like people would think I was too young.
Right. Yeah, I totally get that. And then to tie that particular fear of rejection into the people pleasing, that's also where people pleasing comes in. You fear being rejected by that person, and by rejection I mean, oh, they're not gonna like me, or it's gonna start a conflict. That conflict, that dislike, is the rejection itself, right? The way the video explained it, a fear of rejection is you're letting that person dictate your own value and your worth, right? And that's a power that you only have for yourself, but you're allowing other people to do that for you, and that's not fair on yourself. And to tie those together, the overall idea for all of these four that I've listed is, I kind of turned it into like a mantra for myself. So I speak and I walk my truth at all times. So instead of people pleasing, if I'm people pleasing, then I'm not speaking my truth, right? If I'm just saying what you want to hear for your comfort and knowing that it's going to make me uncomfortable, that's not me speaking my truth. That's me speaking falsely about myself.
Right.
And I can't do that. And fearing someone else reject me, that's a false ideal, right? Because other people don't dictate my value and they don't dictate my worth. I do. So the truth is, other people cannot reject me. Other situations cannot reject me. The only thing that they can do is redirect me. The only person who can truly reject me is me, right? So if I'm speaking falsely about myself, then I'm rejecting me. If I'm not walking in my truth, I am rejecting me. So the real fear of rejection is me rejecting myself. And then for the next one was the fear of intimacy, which that one comes in, and I'm not talking just about like, whenever we think about intimacy, we think about just sex.
Right.
And intimacy is beyond just sex. It's everything after. It's the connection that you build with someone. You can have intimacy with someone that you don't have a sexual relationship with. It could be a platonic relationship. It can be a familial relationship.
Someone you don't even know.
Right. It's intimacy. Intimacy is literally the connection where you can be yourself, right? So you can be vulnerable with that person. You can show them a part of yourself that you wouldn't show other people.
Right.
That's real intimacy. And to me, my fear of intimacy stems from like whenever I'm like little, right? It's
childhood trauma. Who would have guessed?
I know. So for me, I had to think about it that same way, tie it into that same narrative, that same mantra of I'm speaking and walking my truth. So if I am not speaking and walking my truth, then I cannot be intimate. Particularly if whatever, like let's say like with you, like you've seen like my super goofy wild side.
I thought you were about to expose me.
What did we do?
I don't know. That's why I was intrigued. Like, what is she gonna say? You're like you. Oh, okay.
Like my intimate. Okay, like
who am I intimately scared of? Do tell. I love when people analyze me.
No, but like I was talking about like our relationship together, right? So I would say that I'm very intimate with you, particularly in our relationship. Obviously, I'm not talking about sex here, guys. Okay, I'm talking about.
Don't get the wrong idea.
Don't get the wrong idea. I'm talking about like our actual connection.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen me, like, I say like the stupidest head ass shit ever. Okay. And I won't do that with just anybody.
Right.
Like, whenever a stranger comes up to me, or like someone who's just in like an acquaintance, the thing that I get the most is, you look so innocent. Oh, you're so sweet. Because you don't know me that well yet.
And that's funny. I don't know what it is about me. I attract a lot of introverts.
Mm-hmm.
All my closest friends are introverted. And I am so extroverted. Ellie,
I'm very introverted.
Janet, JP, like all my friends. Well, at one point they were introverted. I feel like now a lot of y'all have come out of your cocoon and have become a little more extroverted.
Yeah.
But I remember, because, you know, when you're little, you don't think about these things.
Yeah.
You're like introvert, extrovert, like, you know, you don't really think about that. But as I got older, I remember one time I don't even remember who I was with. And I was with Janet and somebody else. And they were like, oh, you're so quiet, to Janet. And I'm like, are we speaking of the same person? And that's when it hit me, like, the people that you surround yourself with, like the person you see. So the person I see in you, that version is not shown to everybody. And that's when it really hit me, whenever somebody said one of my closest friends was an introvert. And I was like, where? Like, bitch, where? That ain't no introvert. She loud as fuck and she talking loud. What you mean?
Yeah.
But not everyone gets that version of yourself.
Right. So it's, and obviously introversion and extroversion does play a part in this. So just because you're introverted doesn't mean that you fear intimacy. Other people are that quiet. And obviously I'm not going to just show that part of myself to just anybody, you know, regardless of whether I have a fear of intimacy or not. And that goes for like any person. But the fear of intimacy is me being my true self, right? So if I'm covering up a true part of myself and kind of masking that with something else that I think would be, that other people would deem as acceptable, then that's where that fear of intimacy comes in. I do want to elaborate on that part. It's not that you're very quiet around people. It's that you mask a certain part of yourself to get a certain validation or a certain acceptance from somebody else. Right? Which is what I used to do a lot, or still currently do. I'm a work in progress, guys. Work in progress. But that's where the fear of intimacy comes in. And that's where you need to walk your truth in this and speak your truth in this.
Right.
And then the last one was to set your boundaries, right? So there's going to be so many times in your life where people will try to cross your boundaries. And even though you've drawn those boundaries out with them, they're still going to try and cross them. But it is your responsibility, your duty to yourself to withstand those boundaries. And the only way to do that is to speak your truth and walk your truth in that same way, in that same manner. Because whenever you're setting those boundaries and standing up for those boundaries, you're not doing it from like a place of hate. You're not doing it from a place of
like, I don't want that from you.
Yeah. It's purely out of, like, it looks like a way that it may even feel like such a negative thing to do. Because trust me, like, I've been there, you know. Like, it feels like you're going to stir up some conflict or some
like if you want to change the other person.
Right. And that's not the case. As even though it feels that way, the reality is it's coming from a place of love, a place of self-love.
Self-love, for sure.
So the only way to love yourself is to, again, speak and walk your truth. Right. So the mantra is I speak and walk my truth at all times. And to do that, I am capable of not people pleasing, not fearing rejection, not fearing intimacy, and standing up for my boundaries.
Right.
Or setting up your boundaries.
Right. And I feel like there can also be a balance. Just because you don't go around telling everyone your business and being vulnerable to everyone doesn't mean you have a fear of intimacy. Right. Like, you also need to be smart and also open up to the right people, because let's be honest, everyone, or not everyone, that's in your life is with the best intentions for you.
Right.
And a lot of the times it's just best to be quiet and just kind of chill, you know, in like social settings, as opposed to speaking on things that really people aren't interested in, but they will act interested in, you know, and I feel like that can hurt you in the end sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. So also being smart about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's like a limit or a balance, like you said.
Right. A balance.
Right. And I think that fear of intimacy could be explained or seen better in relationships that you hold closer to yourself. So like your best friends, like your siblings, your parents, or people that you hold close relationships with. If you're unable to feel or create an intimate connection with them, then that's where your fear of intimacy is showing. So let's say, okay, I'll give an example. Like for me, one of them was, and we've already gone over this, the mommy issues.
Not the mommy issues.
So one of the things for me was being able to hold meaningful conversations with my mom, right? I feared that she would, again, reject me from what I would be saying. So I would withhold that intimate connection with her by masking it, right? Like the mask would be, I didn't want that connection with her. I didn't want to connect with her. I didn't want to be on good terms with her. I didn't want to be around her. That was my fear of intimacy, right? Until I realized that that's basically, I'm masking myself and basically ultimately lying to everybody, but more importantly, lying to myself,
right,
that I didn't want any of that. Right.
Because that's, I think, a really important note to have, is that a lot of the times we make it our truth when it's not.
Right.
When it's not your truth. So you do need to be, in my opinion, very self-aware, but also hold yourself accountable.
Right.
We love to lie to ourselves and say it enough times to where the lie becomes our truth.
Right.
And that's not the case. Because I think a lot of the times we are scared to dig deeper.
Right.
It's just easier to avoid it and say, no, that's not my truth. My truth is this.
Right.
Which is a lot easier because you don't have to face any fears. You don't have to face any obstacles. Just easier to, no.
It's easier to not do the work. It's easier to not do the work, but believe me, the work is necessary and it is so worth it.
Rewarding.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I was actually kind of done with that sentence. So
okay. Sorry, back to the mommy issues.
But yeah, but I mean, apart from like the mommy, like it's shown in other areas of my life, not just in my mommy issues. Okay, so it's happened in every single kind of my relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, within my family. It's my fear of intimacy has shown in some way in each and every single one of them, and my fear of intimacy was shown whenever I would withhold certain parts of myself, certain things that I wanted to express, but I didn't. And I would fear intimacy because I was fearing the rejection, right? I didn't want to be intimate with that person because I didn't want them to reject me, right? So with my mom, I didn't want to be intimate with her because I didn't want her to reject me, right? And again, so then in that sense, I kind of wasn't exactly people pleasing because that's not something that she wanted me to do. She didn't want me to like pull away from her, right? But it stemmed from me not having boundaries, and again, me not walking my truth and speaking my truth. Because although she's my mom and I know that she loves me, I was still putting my value and my worth in my mom's hands. And truthfully, that's not the right thing to do either.
Even if they're your parents.
Yes.
No matter how close, like your kids, your sisters, your brothers, should only be in your own.
Right.
In your own hands.
Right. And to be completely honest, when it comes to dictating your own value and your own worth, you're the only person capable of doing that, because it doesn't matter how close that person is to you. they're not sitting next to you 24/7. They're not in your mind. They can't hear every single thought or see every vision that you have in your head 24/7. So yes, someone can get to know you very, very well, but they will never have the capacity of knowing you 100% because they don't know every single thought that crosses your mind.
Right. And a lot of the times we don't even know ourselves 100%.
Right.
Because like you said, that takes time, that takes work to really truly get to know yourself.
Right.
Oh, for sure. Especially like talking about boundaries. I speak on, personal experiences. And for me, it was in a romantic relationship where I didn't even know my boundaries, there was things that I was still learning about myself within the relationship, and it was things that I didn't know I needed to set a boundary on. I was still getting to know myself, really getting to know the things that bothered me, and there were things that bothered me, but I didn't know I needed to set a boundary. Because I think also we need to realize, like you just said, people are not in your mind. People don't know what you're thinking. People don't know how you're feeling, especially if you don't say it. For us, it may be common sense. We may think, well, duh, don't do this, don't say this. But to the other person, it's not that big of a deal.
It could be normal to them too.
Right. And I think that's a really important thing to always have in mind, because that's, I think, where I struggled a lot, where I just assumed he was reading my mind, and because it bothered me and it made me feel uncomfortable, he just automatically should have known that and should have stopped doing those things or stopped saying those things. But no one's a mind reader. Right. If I don't tell you, hey, this is bothering me, this is making me feel uncomfortable, please don't do this, please don't say this, whatever the case may be, they're gonna keep doing it. And sometimes I also think that puts a bad image in our mind of them, because we're like, oh, well, they're so inconsiderate, like, it's common sense, how could they not, they just don't care about me. Keep in mind, all this while you haven't said anything.
Right.
But that may not be the case, like you just said. To them, it may be absolutely normal, an everyday thing. And if you don't say anything, if you don't speak up for yourself, how are they supposed to know?
Right. They're not mind readers. Nobody's a mind reader. As much as we try to, know.
Now, if you do speak up and you say, hey, this is bothering me, and they continue to do whatever it is that is bothering you, then that's a completely different story.
Right.
And that's something that happened to me a lot, where I would set my boundaries and this other person said, well, I still don't see how it's that big of a deal. And because it's not a big deal to me, I'm just going to keep doing it. And that's also, I think, where you need to set those boundaries. On top of the boundaries, it's like, okay, I already told you what's bothering me and you're going to keep doing it. Then I have to realize that that's just plain old disrespect.
Right.
You're not respecting me. You're not respecting my boundaries. And you need to see where to move on from there.
Right.
You need to put yourself first. And I think that's also where I struggled, putting myself first. I would always put the other person first.
The people pleasing.
Yeah. And ultimately, it ended up hurting me.
Right.
Because like I said, to them, it was just whatever, it's not that big of a deal. You're just being crazy, or whatever the excuse may be for them. And who ended up hurt in the end? Me. Because I could have just nipped it in the bud and just stopped it right there, but I kept it going. I kept it being okay. And that's one of the things where I changed the truth within me, because I told myself the lie so often. Well, maybe it is not that big of a deal. Maybe I am just being a little crazy, a little psycho. Like, is it really that big of a deal? Yes.
Yeah.
If it's bothering you that much, don't change your truth, Yeah. And also, everyone has different boundaries. Everyone has different limits. Just because somebody else has put up with that doesn't mean you have to or you can. Everyone's different. And if you can't, walk away. And it doesn't just mean in relationships, like romantic relationships. It could be a friendship. There are some toxic friends out there. If they're constantly stepping over your boundaries, making you feel uncomfortable in whatever instance that may be, you don't need those type of friends.
Right.
You don't need those type of people in your life. that was my 2 cents on that.
To what you were saying, do you think that whenever you didn't uphold those boundaries for yourself, did you do that? Did you let go of those boundaries because you were fearing being rejected by that person?
Dang, I don't even know. I think, yeah, ultimately, I guess I ignored my own boundaries because at the end of the day, I guess I didn't want, I think for me, it's more fear of abandonment, which I know it's a little hand in hand with rejection, but I think my daddy issues has more a stem or a heavy root in fear of abandonment. And even though I knew this particular situation and relationship was bad for me, I let it go on for so long because, I mean, for many reasons, but I think a big one was that fear of abandonment, which ultimately is rejection.
Right.
You know, they're rejecting you. They're no longer wanting you. And so they leave.
Yeah.
But then again, what I have learned a lot in my therapy work is that words also have a very, very heavy meaning. And in my head, I always told myself, if I wasn't this way, if I didn't do these things, you know, I'm going to be abandoned and he's going to leave me. That's what I would always think. He's going to leave me. And it wasn't until not that long ago where I started learning words have meanings. And me telling myself he's leaving me, like that's also altering reality.
Right.
He's not leaving me. I am choosing myself and I am removing myself from this toxic, you know, situation.
You're being redirected.
Exactly. I'm choosing myself. I'm loving myself. I am choosing to walk away for the better of me, you know? But me constantly saying, no, he's going to leave me. He's going to leave me. That also, I think, had a big part in it. And I think we need to be very careful about how we speak to ourselves and the kind of words that we use, because even one word being different or, you know, changing it for something else can make the whole difference.
Right. So talking about relationships, I think all of this goes into play how all these things together, whenever you're in a relationship and you start the people pleasing, you start fearing them rejecting you, you start fearing creating an actual intimacy with them. And by intimacy, I mean being truthful about yourself and setting boundaries with that person. I think in that sense, that's where you start to lose some sort of identity to yourself, which
For sure
happened to me, obviously. And although I wouldn't say it in my head all the time, or I wouldn't really say it in my head, I had that feeling or that fear that I was going to be left again, you know. So then I would continue with the people pleasing, the not setting my boundaries, all because I was fearing him. That even though I wouldn't say it in my head, I had that feeling, oh, he's going to leave me again, you know. So that's what I was trying to avoid. So I was letting go of my intimacy. I was fearing being intimate with him. And by intimate, I mean being truthful with him, speaking my truth and walking my truth with him, because I was fearing that he was going to be leaving me again.
Right.
So that's where I started reverting back to the same habits, the same cycles all over again. And ultimately that led me to completely lose my own identity and completely rewrite it into a version that I thought was going to be deemed as acceptable or valuable to him.
Yeah.
You know,
like you became the partner you thought he wanted,
right,
instead of
being who I
him,
am.
right.
Yeah. And ultimately that wasn't fair to him, and more importantly, that wasn't fair to me. You know, so I lost touch with myself, and truthfully, I lost touch with reality altogether. Like, I had became completely dissociated, not just from the relationship, but from life itself, because I just wasn't being truthful with myself, with my life, that I had to completely dissociate from it altogether. I needed to create an alternate reality in my head. So, and the best way that I can explain dissociation is kind of like, how in SpongeBob, there's an episode where Plankton crawls into SpongeBob's head and he kind of puts some like remote controls in his brain, and he's like controlling him, but he's literally seeing everything through SpongeBob's eyes, but it looks like a screen, like a TV screen.
Right.
I was Plankton. I wasn't SpongeBob. I was Plankton. Okay. But the thing is, the remote controls, I wasn't controlling them. They were controlling themselves. They were on autopilot. So everything I was doing for my day-to-day life, it was just things that I normally do. I was doing habitual things that I didn't even need to think about.
Right.
I didn't have to mentally be there. I could have been doing just about anything, but mentally, I was not there. I was never really present. I was never really there in those present moments.
Right.
So I could tell you during majority of my years it feels like everything kind of went super fast, and not like, I know everybody says that time flies by, but no, like there's so many times that I've noticed that where the times where I dissociate, it's not just that they went by so fast, it's that I don't even remember them. Like there's so many like memory gaps in me where it's like I don't remember anything about that. And it's not because my memory is horrible, it's because I was not there.
For sure.
I wasn't there, so I can't remember something that I wasn't present for, because I physically, I was there,
but you weren't.
But I wasn't.
Ultimately.
I was in La La Land. Literally,
la, 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 la.
I literally created a whole different universe in my head, a whole different world where everything in my head was perfect. I lived in my head. I loved living in my head. Everything in my head always went perfectly.
Right.
So that's one of the issues that I've always had. I used my mind to escape from reality. That makes me sound like a crazy person.
No, but like we were literally just talking about this a few days ago. I don't know if you remember how this is kind of where addiction comes in. And we were talking about this because a lot of people, when we think of addiction, we automatically just think drugs, sex, alcohol.
Right.
But there's actually so many out there. Like literally anything can be an addiction. Yeah. And a lot of the times we use them for that exact same purpose, to escape our reality.
Right. My La La Land my alternate universe became my addiction because I was trying to escape my reality.
And you said during that time your addiction was your art.
During that time, it was my art, and also basically me living in my head, because I wasn't always drawing, right. I was drawing whenever I was at home or whenever I was in art class, and I would doodle while I was like in other classes. But like apart from that, like in instances where I didn't have a paper and pencil or pen or whatever in front of me,
right,
I still wasn't there. But at that time, obviously, I couldn't use my addiction to art to escape from that reality. I was using my own different universe in my head.
Imagination.
Yes, my imagination. That became also an addiction for me. Escaping my reality by dissociating and going somewhere else and like daydreaming a perfect life. Yeah, that was also my addiction.
And that became like in your head, what you imagined was your reality.
Yeah, that literally became my reality. Like what I lived in my head, I felt like I lived it.
Yeah,
like
so you felt like you were okay.
Yeah, I was present for my alternate universe, but in reality, I really wasn't present in that universe, in the real
chill out Thanos
universe.
Okay, Thanos. Just kidding.
Which honestly can be like, I don't want to say it's dangerous, but it's like,
I feel like it kind of can be, yeah.
Because what if I had never wanted to come back?
Yeah. And I feel like there are people out there that really do just live in La La Land and they live in their own little world. And I think to a certain extent, it can be healthy if you do it with limitations, because I do understand like this world can be very ugly, very negative. So you need to also have some positivity within yourself, but you also need to be realistic, you know, and not just escape different things.
Right.
Yeah, because that's what I was trying to go with the addiction thing, where people go to music, and that's why some people truly become addicted to music, because it makes them dissociate from their life, and the music becomes their reality.
Right.
That was me in middle school. And like I lived, breathed, and everything in between music. And I mean, to a certain extent, I feel like it was good, because I feel like it helped me with my depression a lot. Like it was a way for me to express myself, even though I wasn't the one writing it.
Right.
But it was kind of a way of self, you know, expression. But yeah, a lot of people, like, it can be anything: food, music, movies, napping. Lot of people, that's why you hear of a lot of people being very lazy when they're in depression, because when you're depressed, you're in that mode, all you want to do is escape, leave it. You don't want that to be your reality. And so what do a lot of people do? They take naps. They will sleep and sleep for hours on top of hours. Me and Ellie have been through that. There was days, or there was a period of time in my life where I could honestly, without exaggeration, could sleep for 17 hours straight without getting up to go use the restroom, without getting up to like get a snack. I would not get up at all. 17 hours straight.
That was your max?
That you ever did? So, without even waking up once. I've gone more than a full day, so more than 24 hours, but I would wake up here and there to go pee, because I would have to go pee. But like straight, probably around 17, 18 hours.
So like in that period of, even though like you having to wake up, with the exception of like peeing, what's the longest you've gone?
Oh shit. Probably it was either 32 or 36 hours.
Oh dang.
But that one wasn't because of depression. That one was because me and Janet stayed up for 3 days straight. That's a whole story. I stayed up for 3 days straight. 3 days. No sleep, no nap, nothing. Like we were awake for 3 days.
I will not forget one of those days.
Oh my God. So it was with my cousin, and we were at her house, and she dead ass almost cocked me in the face because there was no more milk. Like,
that's what I was gonna bring up too,
bro. Okay, so I know that I saw this thing pop up on my social media that it says if you go without sleep, like you would literally go crazy.
Yeah, because you can start hallucinating.
Yeah, too. And I used to not believe that, because I had heard that way back when. I was like, oh, like you're not gonna go crazy. Like, yeah, you're gonna be tired. Nah. So when I went those 3 days, like I felt like I was on drugs. I had never done drugs, but I was like, whatever drugs feel like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Because I felt so lightheaded. I would get irritated. I would giggle out of nowhere for no apparent reason, and I could not stop. Like literally I was going on a full maniac mode episode, whatever. And yeah, so my cousin ended up getting really but she was like mad at me. And she's a very strong person, so I got scared because we were eating cookies and milk, and then Oreos and milk.
Yeah.
And it was in the middle of the day. I think it was at like 2-3 p.m. It was on a Saturday, I think, and that was the third day we had been up. We had been up since Thursday. Thursday all day, Friday all day. We were into Saturday at like 3 p.m. and we were like, okay, like dipping the Oreos in the milk, you know. And then we had ran out of milk because we were dipping it, drinking it, dipping it, drinking it. And she goes, okay, I'm going to go get more milk, like from the fridge. I was like, okay, bet, bring me some too. She went down. There was no more milk. She came up, mad as fuck. She was like, we're out of milk. I was like, okay, like, then we're done. You know, if you just want to eat the cookies dry. She got so mad, and she was like, I'm about to punch you in the face. I was like... Like, this isn't even my house. What? Like, I got so scared. I was like, give me a second. I literally left the room. We were upstairs. I went downstairs. I went to your mom. And I was like, yeah, can we please go get more milk? I kid you not. Right then and there, she took us to CVS and we got a gallon of milk. I was so scared she was going to punch me in the face.
That's wild. Oh, hell no.
That shit was so funny. But yeah, I was like almost scared for my life. Without like, I know it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. Like, think about it. I hadn't been sleeping for 3 days. I was already feeling like legit crazy.
Yeah.
This girl, who I know could probably knock me out, was so mad that she was out of milk. Luckily, your mom, I don't know if she would remember if you ask her, but she dead ass took us to CVS.
That's
right then
funny.
and there. I don't remember if I told her like Janet's mad, she's gonna hit me. I don't know, but I do remember she took us right then and there to a CVS. Milk? Yeah, to get a little gallon of milk.
That's
and
funny.
then I remember we came back. We didn't even eat more cookies and milk. We went straight to bed.
Oh my gosh.
And then we slept for the next 2 days, and that was our full week. 3 days, 5 days. That was a full 5-day week for us.
That's wild.
I slept for like that day. I think we slept, or those 2 days, like 32 or 36 hours. And I want to say out of the whole time, I only woke up once to pee. Because like I was literally going fucking crazy. A little bit out of what we're talking about. Yes. But
okay, so
that shit was funny.
You slept for 36 hours. You know, actually, that they say that the reason that they tell you not to drive when you're tired is because, especially if you haven't had enough sleep, is because your cognition is just as bad as if you were drinking and driving.
Dang. I don't doubt it. Because like, have you ever, I mean, I'm sure it's happened to all of us when we're driving and we're just so tired. We're just trying to keep our eyes open and just get home safely. You really do start seeing double sometimes, especially if it's late at night and like you see and you reflections.
You kind of start swerving a little in your lane, like
yeah, especially in the car that I have now, because I have, not in my old Blazer, but I have a newer car now, and I have driver assistance is what it's called. And if I get too close to a lane, it'll start beeping. Luckily, and I've had that where I'm so tired and I'm like fighting it. I even get like super close to the steering wheel and I'm like, stay awake. Like I'll put on music super loud. I'm like, stay awake. And it's happened where I get a little too close to the lane and it's like beep 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 beep, and I'm like, oh shit, and then I like swerve a little back. But yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I feel like that's the worst feeling ever, driving while you're that freaking tired that you could just like,
especially when it's not just mental, like it's like you're physically, your eyes are shutting on you. Where it's like you've literally, like another SpongeBob episode where they put the toothpicks in their eyes. Literally. There's a SpongeBob episode for everything.
I know. But how did we get onto this topic? Oh yeah, I asked you
Janet, how many crazy hours. As fuck.
I know.
Yeah, how many hours have you slept straight? So for me, I think
36,
either 32 or 36, around that ballpark.
Okay. For me, it was the maximum that I've ever slept was 18, with the exception of one time where I was actually really sick. And I was like just like on medication, that the medication just like knocked me out. Yeah. And I remember I like slept for like, I think 25 hours straight. I woke up once, okay, because after I took the medication in the kitchen, I didn't go back up to my room. I just stayed downstairs because I knew that I was gonna have to keep letting my dog in and out of the house so that she can use the restroom. I fell asleep and I left her outside, and I fell asleep in the couch, and then I didn't know, but my mom had left the windows open upstairs, and there was a breeze, so it kind of pushed the blinds, and whenever they fell back, it hit the window, right, and it made a noise. So I got scared. Okay, I'm practically drugged up on these medications, okay? Half asleep.
There's a ghost.
And I'm over here thinking that somebody broke into the house.
Oh no.
Okay, so I'm like terrified, but like half asleep. I call my mom. I'm like, I think somebody's in the house. And my uncle had just got into the house, right? She was like, go outside, your Theo's out there. I'm like, okay. And I ended up getting into my car. I fall asleep in the car. My mom comes back home, I think like 20 minutes later, and we all come back inside the house. I don't even think I even said hi to my tia or my tia. I went back to the couch. I like knocked out, and when I woke up, like they weren't even there anymore. It was the next day.
Bruh.
Like
Hella drugged up.
hell yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie, those sleeps are the best.
I
When you're sick
know.
and you take that night medication and it just knocks you out. Like, because I'm a person that remembers her dreams every night, and for a lot of them, I'm basically mentally awake because I can still think, and I lucid dream a lot. And so I feel like I don't mentally rest even when I'm asleep. So I love when I get sick. Bruh. I love when I get sick and I get to take like NyQuil or whatever I get prescribed, and I'm just out.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't even dream. I'm not awake in my dream because I'll be awake in my dreams all the time.
That's wild.
Yeah. Hella off topic.
That is off topic. I actually started trying these supplements that my doctor gave me, right? It's supposed to, it's like it's like supplements like to help like ease your anxiety, which has helped. So like I knock out like a lot quicker, because otherwise at night it'll take me like hours to fall asleep because my mind is just going a million miles an hour. And after I started taking these supplements, I fall asleep super quickly, and I noticed that I actually started dreaming more often, and I can recollect my dreams the next morning for the most part.
Interesting.
And I've been writing them down. I'm like, these words are like weird as fuck, dude. Like they're just weird. I don't like I'm not really aware that I'm dreaming whenever I'm dreaming until I wake up.
Yeah.
Because sometimes in my dreams I'll be asleep and I'm like dreaming in my dreams, if that makes sense. It's weird.
It is.
It's kind of like have you seen the movie Inception?
I haven't,
Bro. Okay, so like they go
so
like in dreams, they go in dreams within their dreams within their dreams. Like it's like levels to this shit.
Trippy. Yeah.
Right. And I started, and like my dreams started getting like that, and I'm like, that's wild. And I'm like, I don't realize that I'm not dreaming until I wake up.
Right.
It's weird, but yeah. So I just think it's
lucid dreaming. It's fun. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I like doing it. I don't like not feeling rested when I wake up.
Gotcha. So to tie this back to what we were originally talking about,
Back to the topic at hand.
well, the topic after that particular topic, we started talking about depression.
The topic after the topic.
The addiction, if you must, right? Honestly, depression can be kind of addicting too, though.
Oh,
because
facts.
There was, I know that during a lot of my episodes, there was points where I could tell you I did not want to come out of my depression, right? Like I didn't want to come out of those escapes that I was like living in. One of them being my alternate universe in my head. I didn't want to come out of those. I didn't want to leave those. And I knew that to come out of my depression, I would have to leave those behind.
I'm sorry.
Like, I didn't hope you didn't hear that.
Depression? Not the depression.
The depression.
Gotta call it out.
Couldn't we just strolled right along pretending like that didn't happen?
Can't do that.
I really kept talking like I could really play it out.
I know.
Like maybe she won't catch it. Bro,
You're lucky I had some water in my mouth at the time.
but no, but like really those addictions, depression is like, it really is addicting. Like it kind of like how we had said in previous episodes, depression can become your comfort zone.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It can be very comforting. Once you've been in it for so long, it's comforting. It's because it's normal to you.
Exactly.
And whenever you start losing sight of what could be, like the actual reality of what it is,
yeah,
you kind of don't want to come out of it.
No. And then it can be something so simple. Like I know for me, I didn't want to come out of my depression, as dumb as it sounds, but I didn't want to stop sleeping. My thing was, if I get out of this depression, I'm not going to want to sleep as much, and I don't want to stop sleeping.
So yours was, you didn't want to stop sleeping. I didn't want to leave my universe.
Yeah. And it all ties back to a little kind of sadness.
Yeah. And to be fair, I still kind of go into my universe Not as frequently as I used to, but
she's still a little cuckoo.
Yeah. I still go into my universe. That's just always been my
Hey, I mean, you could turn
comfort.
like other people and turn those stories, those realities into books. You could start writing them down.
That's actually not a bad idea.
My homegirl can become an Arthur.
To be honest, if you didn't say it the second time, I wouldn't have even picked it up on it because I started thinking about what my books would be about.
Bruh.
I was about to say I could be a superhero over here, bro. In my universe, I am a superhero. Okay, I'm a superhero.
Hey, that's how a lot of these stories are made up.
I know
they're made up, but they're good for a reason. People come up with these alternate universes, alternate realities, and they turn themselves into this alter ego. Do it. My homegirl over here gonna become a best-selling.
I'm gonna be the next Marvel.
Hey,
the next DC.
DC. We're Team DC over here. Go away, Marvel fans.
Red Hood. Oh my gosh. I still need to do that. Okay, so I'm trying. Okay, this is way out of topic, but I still want to say it though.
Are we still in Halloween mode?
But yeah, I still want to be Red Hood for Comic Palooza. I still need to make my.
We still need to go to a Comic-Con first of all. We need to hit up a Comic-Con. And then we went through this phase where we were like so freaking addicted to comics. I think that was my alternate universe because I went so deep into a DC hole. I lived, breathed, bathed, pooped, peed DC for months.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do. I remember you got me into it whenever we were living together for a while.
Yeah.
And
oh shit, it was since that other apartment. Oh my god, then I did it for like a year. Oh my, I was so I mean, I'm still into DC, don't get me wrong, like I'm a fan, but when I tell you I was in this almost like dark hole.
Okay, but like for real though, the DC animated films, those hit different. Okay,
A1.
I love those. Oh my god,
it's not everyone's cup of tea because it is animated, so a lot of people are like, I don't like cartoons, but like it's not a regular cartoon. But okay, guys, I mean, I know it's us and we're always off topic, but we have one.
Let's
all the way over there.
reel it back in.
Let's really reel it.
Oh yes. Sorry,
but yeah, no,
I don't know why I looked at you like I didn't know what you were saying.
She always a little confuzzled.
My brain lagged. Okay.
She lagging in real time.
My brain lagged. Okay, but to tie everything back in, we're talking about how it's important to speak and walk your truth. And when I say walk your truth, I mean be your truth. Because if you're only speaking your truth, you're only doing that with your words. But with acting your truth, that's where, more importantly, that's where the boundaries come in. Because you can say it, but if you were not actively putting up those boundaries and standing up for them, then there's no action behind your words, Yeah. Because you can set them, but if you're not standing up for them when the time comes that people are trying to cross them,
right,
you're not walking your truth in there.
Don't just talk the talk.
Walk the walk.
Walk.
What?
Walk
like Chinese
guacamole.
Oh. Way off.
Way off. But yes, talk the talk, walk the walk, and stand behind yourself.
Yes.
It's hard to do, but it's a must. Especially if you want to succeed in this life. You can't allow people to walk all over you. And honestly, setting up boundaries and not reinforcing them and letting people, not respect them is allowing people to walk all over you. And that ain't fair to you, girl.
Right.
Or guy. It's just, you gotta love yourself and respect yourself. we've talked about this specific topic before in another episode, but loving yourself is so important. Self-love is so important because no one's gonna have your back like you. No one, not even your parents, because they're not with you 24/7.
Right.
You know, and even when they do tell you, like, if they're the ones that are telling you you're not in a healthy relationship, like, stand up for yourself, you're not gonna listen to them anyway,
right?
So,
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, at the end of the day, love yourself, set those boundaries, and how you talk to yourself is very important. You constantly saying, well, they're gonna leave me. No, you're gonna leave the toxic situation, because at the end of the day, staying is gonna be only hurtful to you, you know. So also learning how to change that dialogue within yourself, or even when you're talking out loud, like when you're venting to a friend and you're like, hey, I really don't want him to leave me. No,
right,
like, he's not leaving you, or she's not leaving you, or whatever, you know. You're removing yourself from that situation,
right.
And saying it in a different way sometimes does really make a difference. I've tried it in my, you know, with situations with myself, especially like in therapy, when I have told my therapist certain things, and the way I say, she's like, okay, no, let's try this way to say it, and then she'll tell me a different way to say it, and like, it really does feel different. It's kind of crazy, because at first when she told me that, I'm in my head, I'm like, well, like, how different can it be? At the end of the day, it's like the same situation, I want the same result. No, it really makes a difference. It's crazy. Like, you know, how you hear it, how you say it, it's how you ultimately believe it.
Right.
It's crazy.
Words really do have power.
Almost like she knows what she's talking about. Almost like she's licensed and professional, and you know,
like she's helped people before.
No, yeah, she's dope. She's great. But yeah, if I could give anybody any advice on this, it would, in my opinion, I think that would be the biggest one for me. Learn how to say things in a different way, to give yourself more power to leave certain situations, or to stand up for yourself, or to stop people pleasing, you know, to stop having these fears of things that honestly maybe not even there, because a lot of the times we make all these fears in our head, all these situations, all these things that more than likely won't happen that way.
Like, y'all create these universes in your head.
Just like you do good ones, we do bad ones, you know? It's not always rainbows and cupcakes. Sometimes we make really bad situations for ourselves when they're not there. Like, nos hacemos la vida más difícil for no reason.
For real.
Like, what is you doing?
But I mean, I've been saying this for myself for a few days actually, since, because this kind of self-reflection kind of came to me not too long ago. So I've been using those same 4 points that I made earlier, and I've been actively saying these things to myself. So I'll say, I do not people please, because I talk and walk my truth. I do not fear other people rejecting me, because only I am truly capable of rejecting myself. And I do not fear intimacy, because again, I speak and I walk my truth, and I set up my boundaries, because again, I walk and talk my truth. So I've been using all those 4 points to make that same mantra of I speak and I walk my truth daily. So I mean, obviously I've only been doing this for a few, like, saying or speaking this to myself for the past few days, but the past few days it's helped a lot actually. And I was actually having a conversation not too long ago where I was talking about, I guess, like frequencies, right? So everything has its frequency. So that includes how you think, how you feel, right? All of that it emits a certain wavelength into the world. So if you're constantly having negative thoughts, right, then you're sending those wavelengths, you're sending that frequency out into the world, and the world can only respond in that same frequency. So if you're constantly saying, oh, everything, oh, like, I have such bad luck, everything goes to shit for me, the world's gonna keep sending you bad luck. The world's gonna be sending you just shit.
Yeah.
You know? In the same way, like, if you feel like shit constantly, the world's just gonna keep sending you shit.
Yeah.
you know? Whereas, and I know that it's difficult to like just change it. Like if you can't turn it into something positive, turn it into something neutral for yourself. You know, if you can't make it positive, just neutralize it.
You can't be like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah,
and also just be like, it is what it is. And then because we were also talking about this, being grateful. You can turn it into, okay, this situation was bad, but at least X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And look at the good side, you know? Like, yes, I might have, I don't know, lost my job, but at least I'm healthy enough to look for another one. At least I have the opportunities to look for another one. Whatever the case may be, it's so good to always try to look at it
in a positive light.
Right. And it is hard. I mean,
it is.
We've all been through it. We've all been through a lot of situations where it feels so much easier to just be like, well, fucking like give up because this is hard. But at the end of the day, we have to remember, and I've been telling myself this so much, you know, recently. The world doesn't owe me shit. Yes, I've been through hard situations, but so has a lot of people. Like, the world does not owe me shit. It's up to me to make it a better situation for myself.
Right.
Because I feel like it's so easy to just feel wah, 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 sorry for yourself. Let me bring out my tiny little violin. You know, like, it as bad and rough, tough as it sounds, tough shit. Bad shit happens to so many people, and I know a lot of people say this, but it's true. So many people have it worse than you. I was reading this statistic that said if you had food on your table this month and a roof over your head, you're already in the top like 2% of the world or something like that. Because it's the number of homeless people is ridiculous. The number of people that can't even afford to feed themselves is like crazy. So if you're able to just feed yourself and have a roof over your head, like, you are among like the top. You know?
Yeah.
Because the world, I mean, a lot of people do have it rough, you know? And not to minimize your struggles. Like, your struggles are still your struggles and it's still hard, but it does give you a different kind of perspective where it could be worse, you know? And just try to see it on the positive side.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, I mean, at least, are you fed? Are you clothed? Are you in a home? That's more than you can ask for sometimes. You know? So, yeah. Count your blessings. Yes. Be positive.
But yeah, being positive can definitely bring a lot more positivity into your life. So you can only have positivity in your life if you already have it within yourself. Anything that you're trying to get from the world, you have to have it within you first. The world cannot give you anything that you don't already have.
They're not just gonna magically make you happy. You gotta start being happy within you. Because me and Ellie talk about this a lot, but that's a whole different conversation where we don't believe that a partner makes you happy. You have to be happy within yourself, and then someone comes along and they just emphasize that. Right. But you can't be all sad and grumpy and whatever and have someone come in and completely change your life and make it happy. Like, no one should have that power over your life. Right. And that's also not fair to put that much responsibility on somebody else. Right.
And if you are falling into that kind of cycle, it's important to acknowledge that that falls under codependency
and fucking break it.
Yes.
Quit your shit.
It's hard to do. Okay, I was there before. No, it's hard to do, but
yeah, we say all this from experience. We've both been through it.
We're not just talking shit, okay?
We're not these la 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 land girls who have had everything their whole lives. Like, we've both been through it. We've both been through stuff since we were little. But we're just out here trying to spread that positivity that we are trying to now have
for ourselves.
Exactly.
You know?
So we hope that we can help anybody out there.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, you got to be responsible for yourself and your own actions and your own thoughts and your own feelings, emotions, everything behind that.
And we can say as much as we'd like on here, but regardless of whatever we say or what anybody says to you or what you hear in your life, that other people's words literally have no effect on you unless you choose for yourself to want those changes. So if you're listening to us and you're still down and out, you're not wanting to make those changes for yourself, you're not wanting to make a better life for yourself, then our words aren't going to impact you. Our words aren't going to encourage you. They're not going to support you into whatever life you want to create for yourself. So you have to want that for yourself first. And I hope that even if that's not something that you want right now, to whoever and everybody that's listening, I hope that one day that you do come to that time in your life where you do want that change, that maybe the words that we're speaking now will make an impact for you then.
Yeah. Because I also feel like when you're not ready to make that change, all these things that we've been saying, they sound so fucking corny.
Yeah.
Like, bro, get over yourself. Like, ill. Because I used to be like that. When I would hear people be positive or like motivational speakers, I would just be like, literally ill. Like,
yes. Like, happy people? What the fuck?
Literally.
Why are you here?
Literally cringe.
I know.
Now it really changes your whole mindset on everything. It's crazy. And that's why I feel like me and Ellie have become this like walking cliche of shit we say. But like, I love it. Me and Ellie do feel like a cliche, when we say all these things about positivity and the universe and wavelengths and everything, because it's all those things that you hear in like motivation, or things that you see in motivational posters. But when you truly start living that life, I mean, you just have a whole different kind of mindset.
Right.
And so if we sound hella corny to you right now, sorry. Fix your problems
and then come back, and then you'll see what we're talking about.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, hopefully you can resonate with something that we said along the way, because we do switch subjects quite a bit.
Yeah. It wouldn't be us if we didn't go on a whole bunch of other rants.
For sure. But if you're still here with us, thank you so much. We enjoy making these videos and these episodes for you guys so much. Just some girl talk that is definitely needed and therapeutic.
Definitely. And as always, y'all can always find us on all of our socials at Soul Sisters Lounge. And we're posted on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and
now YouTube with our video now that you can actually see us. If you by any chance missed the announcement or even the last episode, you can now catch us on video podcast. This is our second episode doing so definitely check us out on YouTube or wherever you get your favorite video podcasts.
And hopefully we get to see y'all next time.
Bye.